Welcome to Leadership, Love and Laughter, where we dive into the unspoken truths in life and business. I'm Natalie Potts.
And I'm Victoria Dioh.
Let's go!
Hello there. Welcome to Leadership, Love and
Laughter.
My name is Victoria Dioh and you are?
Natalie Potts.
Hello. Now, normally I'd say, what we're talking about today, Potts? We're saying goodbye. Leadership, Love and Laughter is no more. How are you feeling about it? It's a bit of a surprise to you.
Yeah, I think I've done some stuff with someone recently where it's like just go yes with stuff.
Yeah.
And I was like, cool, I just say yes to this then.
Yeah. It's been so good and I've really enjoyed it. But, you know, we talk about boundaries a lot, don't we? We talk about boundaries and also there was something we're going to talk about that we never talked about, which was saying no as well. Sort of like the art of saying no and looking at what you're trying to create. And when I looked at my space and stuff, it was just like, I need space to do other stuff that's going to relate into my business. And I know that your business is taken off in a completely different angle and stuff. And it's just like, I look at my business and I'm like, there's so much I want to do. And I don't want to miss the narrative of what I'm trying to do with doing this. I just almost like want to start afresh. So I thought, because we just came in and we're doing some recording, I was like, let's do a goodbye. And that's like, you're all right then. What are you going to be doing next? Because I know you're doing so much more.
The main thing next is to focus on like a big signature program with messaging. So I've been doing a beta the last few weeks. And interestingly, like since then, like case studies in beta aren't new. No. And then suddenly, like again, it's like anything, everyone's out there doing a beta. Even Russell Brunson. So I was like, he followed me. But look, it's not a new idea. But it's like marketing. You just see different trends. It's like fashion. So it's definitely I've noticed this year, and I guess sometimes the ability, I know I have the ability to look in businesses and see gaps, and I can see certain gaps in the market at times, and, you know, people need a wake-up call. Like 2024 is very different. I'm saying it more than I was in January, and it's challenging, but, you know, you have a growth mindset or you have a limited fixed mindset. I see that as, come on, like I'm going to, no matter what, I'm going to get what I want and go for what I want and keep that vision strong. But some people are really defeated by that. So I see the reality is I like a challenge and I love business, and business is about being agile. It's about adapting. I think I've been fortunate I don't think I've been lucky. I've been fortunate in being able to have the ability to take my corporate experience and adapt that into my own business. Having that experience just massively helps me run my business of, you know, like having structure, strategy, doing the personal development work. I was massive on that in the corporate world. You know, people management as such, still like clients, you know, experiences and things. So I've used that skill set very well when I'm growing and building on that in having my own business. And it's just got its different challenges, but fundamentally, I love business. So it's been exciting to do a beta in that, like this year, we've just got to try different things. We've got to test more. You've got to have, you know, Stephen Bartlett coins it. He's got someone on who's a head of experimentation. We've got to be experimenting more. We've got to try things. We've got to have a different relationship with failure. We've got to have a different relationship with the stuff we find boring, and see where it's taking us. So, for example, I've got a lot of clients who say lead generation is boring. Well, okay. Or cold DMs. Now, I don't massively sell cold DMs, but as an idea, you like the result it brings. You like the result of lead generation where you get amazing clients.
So you have to.
You like that a cold DM
yeah,
could change somebody's life if you suddenly have that conversation with them that no one else is having. So we need to have different relationships with sometimes how we see failure, fears, and experiment more. So the beta's run really well. It's definitely not a 3-month program. It's definitely a 6-month program, just to give me the space and time with it as well, and to help facilitate and train and give in the right way so people get the ultimate best result. But that's the point of a beta. It works really well, is you can try and test things and ask for feedback. But like we know, like you were saying, like you have to just where your attention goes and focus on the right things, and it's going to really build into an incredible program. And that's the thing, like, you've got to believe it, what you're doing. You have to 100% back it, believe it, like, beyond to the point where people think it's like you're delusional as well, I feel. That's what I love about Americans. I've been obsessed with that Ryan Serhant real estate Netflix program.
Yeah, he's so cool.
I loved it.
Yeah.
And just the fact he was like, I'm number 6, I want to be number 1. And I was like, that will guide him, that will take him somewhere. Just that statement of people saying, like, he won't do it, or oh my God, he's going to do it. Like, that belief you can't give to people. So I absolutely know this will be a no-brainer. I've got loads more work to do on it. I love doing the work on it. And I continue one-to-ones. I love high-ticket one-to-ones with clients who are really committed and at certain growth points in their business. Trying a few different things. I think also leaning into the stuff that people say isn't working. I like to revel a bit. You know, like, I think people say events are hard and things like that. Sometimes it's the way we do things. So I'm going to be out there looking to do different few things. I've always got great mentors.
When you say events, you mean you're going to run events? You're going to host events?
I'm going to look at doing one the end of this year, for sure.
Okay.
It's going to be really intentional with who it's for, who it's not for. You know, be really tangible, focused, bring in a couple of specific core people who I think will add value to my audience and it will add value to theirs. But also one thing I'm doing is expanding my network. That you just can't keep playing small and playing in circles that you've been in. You've got to get out and be uncomfortable. And I'm in there's one in Canada at the minute. I'm looking for some in the US, which is very different mindsets and business. And I'm not afraid of any of that as well. I think it's exciting. So I am nervous, very nervous. I said, like, I'm really nervous going to meet new people. Because then you start to judge yourself and everything, and you think, you know, like, all of the things that we all feel. I'm like, God, am I a fraud? And what are they going to think of me? And all those things. But we all have something to give. So it's exciting. Like, everything's exciting. Like you said, like, you want to look at the opportunity within everything. And when one door closes, another opens. I've absolutely lived and breathed that. Yeah. And that's life. That's a circle of life. And things, as we've said before, come in seasons, right?
Yeah.
That's natural, and that's okay. And how you do that behaviourally with people, that's what counts.
Yeah. Behaviour's huge. And I'm all about building relationships and stuff, and it's so funny, like, when I watch relationship building across whether it's in business or personally, I always ask people to treat how they want to be treated, and it's one of the reasons why I always sit back and think a lot about how I want to deal with certain situations. But moving forward and stuff, sort of like, you know, I completely believe about when one door closes, another one opens. I'm looking forward to just really connecting to my clients. One of my biggest issues, and I'm sure most people who deal with the emotions in business for leaders will come and say something very similar, which is it's not as easy as I sell or I do messaging and stuff. Like, it's not as straightforward. And I'm not saying that doesn't take work, but if you say to somebody, I do messaging, I do sales, they go, great, you're going to help me, you know, with words, and you're going to help me bring more money in. And even though the other one also connects to bringing more money in as well, when it comes to emotions, it's something that people, especially leaders, they suppress a lot more. They suppress a lot more because nobody wants to be seen to be weak.
Sure. Nobody
wants to seen to be vulnerable. And whilst the online space is now promoting the vulnerability, I because I can read people, I know what's vulnerable and I know what's not. And because everything's energy, the audience will be able to read what's genuine vulnerability, genuine vulnerability, and what's not. Just had a tongue twister in there, but do you know, am I making sense here and stuff? It's like, you know, the whole emotion side. So the work I need to do in the business is connecting more, but also making sure that the people that I'm helping are my ideal client, like they're the people that need my help and whose lives can be drastically transformed with the help that I'm doing. And also widening my circles as well. I love the circle that I'm in, but also I'm very aware that there's a recycle of a lot of the people that are in there and stuff. So if you look at a lot of people, they've worked with me, worked with another person. You know what I mean? Like people are sort of like dotted around, and I want to enjoy new spaces, which I'm really enjoying getting to know as well. So yeah, so it's that whole thing of just take a step back, and whatever you're bringing out is full of intention. It's one of the reasons why, over the last couple of weeks, I wanted to bring out Manifestation Marinade, which is now called Manifestation Mastery. And when that came out, it was more like, how can I turn this so that only leaders come to it? So whether you believe you're a leader, because not everybody thinks they're a leader, and that's okay. It's not my job to convince you to be a leader. But if you think that you may have the buildings of a leader, or you are a leader, then this is for you. And I'm bringing it in for people to learn them, to teach them how to create opportunities using your intuition rather than just running around in circles. I've proven to myself time and time again that I can create those opportunities. Do I create every opportunity? No. Do I create most of my opportunities? Yes. And it's sort of like showing them how to get to that space where they can turn it into, whether it's money, whether it's wealth, whatever they're looking for in their life to actually build. But I want it specifically for leaders. So basically, if you're not a leader, then you and I don't have much to talk about. If you want to be a leader, we do. If you don't want to be a leader, then, let us know and I'll tell you who I can put you in touch with, but it won't be me and you and stuff. And I want to be really, linear with that approach. I don't want to and ah and take on people who aren't in my space, because I would be doing them a disservice. Yeah, so I want to be really strict and stuff. So getting rid of this allows me that headspace to just really go into, we've spoken about thinking time a lot, just put me into that space where I can really work on what I want to create and know that it's authentic to me, rather than me trying to fit into a space that I think should fit me in. I just want to create my own space, and I'm really excited about that.
What does your own space look like?
Who knows? When it comes out, I think everybody will see it. But I guess, do you know what? It's really funny actually, because for about 2 or 3 years, it was Manifestation Kitchen. And then I changed to Victoria Dioh. And I didn't know, even though I changed Victoria Dioh, so it's like I was still thinking, what does Victoria Dioh look like? And the more I lean into it, it's like just being me, and it's not that I'm not being me already, but leaning more into being me. I look at pictures of me from 10 years ago and I look like a different person, like the way I dressed, the way my hair was and everything else and stuff. And is that evolution of just leaning into your purpose as well, and also dealing with more complex cases, like the people that I'm helping now and healing now. I'm having some very touch and go cases where people are at family members' beds and I'm doing the healing for them. I'm being challenged emotionally and physically in the work that I do, in my purpose. And this is the thing as well. This is why I don't believe business is black or white. And I put a post out a while back just saying, I'm going through something, and other people have reached out, oh, how can I help? I'm like, you won't get it. You just won't get it, because when you are called to a divine purpose like this, it's a completely different experience. Like you're being taken along a space of trial, tribulation. And it's really funny, when I was talking to one of my teachers, he said, this is the point where you want to give up. He was like, this. He goes, this is the point where you're going to want to give up. And I would never give up. He goes, but this is it, this bit. And when you get to this bit, this is where you have to keep on going, because that's where the magic is on the other side. And I'm not saying that people with normal businesses don't experience this, but when you're working with energy and intuition on an everyday basis and stuff, it's an experience that I've not been able to articulate yet. And when I do articulate it, I will come back and have that conversation in a media like this or in a medium like this and narrate it so that I can help other people go through it. but it is yeah, it's an interesting watch. It's an interesting watch. I can feel it happening and stuff. It's like sometimes your head's not clear. You have to declutter. You take another step and stuff. But the good thing is, I know how to attract to attract the right people and the right resources into my life to help guide me through it, and that's the most important thing.
And what are some of those?
Some of what?
Those sources and guides.
There could be people, there could be books, there could be just different medium. I'm a strong believer. I mean, I'm sure you've experienced it in your life where I know you read a lot as well. So it's like, you may be thinking about something and a book just comes to mind and you go, I needed that. I remember when we talked about the money thing and stuff, like I was reading books on money. You were reading books of money, and at the time and stuff, you were having that conversation with yourself about the whole money thing, and then it was like, oh wow, I really needed to read this, right? So it's being open enough to attract those resources as opposed to designing what it looks like. Yeah, and stuff. You're going to ask a question.
What's been some of the learnings then in the last 8 months for you around this?
8 months for what?
Around this experience you're going through right now, the changes and everything.
That it's okay to say no. I always feel guilty saying no. I always feel good. I always feel like I'm letting people down. But I also have no problem in saying it. It's just that guilt of saying, oh God, I don't want to let someone down. But also just realizing that.
Is that guilt then?
Sorry?
Is that guilt then if you then feel like, well, I don't have problems saying it?
I don't have problems. Like, I will make the decision even if I feel guilty. I will never not make a decision just because of guilt.
Yeah.
Does that make sense? Like, I'll feel shit about it, but I'll still do it. But it doesn't stop because I don't like letting people down. I don't. I used to be that person who used to say yes to everything. I don't say yes anymore. But just putting my foot down and just going, do you know what? Yeah, this is important. But also,
I guess so. It's not always putting your foot down, is it? It's just moving on.
But putting my foot, yeah.
Like when we might putting foot down, it's like we're standing for something or taking it in our way, where it might not necessarily. It's just a change.
This is putting your foot down to me though, because I have conversations with myself. Like I don't make blind decisions, so I'll have the conversation and I'm like, oh yes, no, oh yeah, like no, this is what's important, and go for that. But yeah, I mean, for the learning, especially being here, have we been doing it for 8 months? Wow. It's been nice having that space with someone to actually just talk business with. It's been nice. It's the first time, I think it's the first time that I've hired a podcast studio. There may be a podcast studio who may go, that's not true, but I think it is. It's been nice having that experience and navigating that as well. It's also been nice sort of like coming up with the topics with what I'm sure people will know this, but every topic that we've brought up, we've really thought about. Like even if I've said to you, oh, here are some topics, we've sat down, got on a Zoom and gone through every single one. Our last 2 have been random ones, but all the rest, we've sat down, thought about them, decided what we were going to talk about. And whilst we've been very natural with it and just let it flow, we've also binned a lot of topics that we've gone, no, they're not going to work. And that process has been really nice. It's been nice working with someone, and getting to know yourself and even further, because we knew each other before, but just spending that time in a different space, I suppose, where it was just coming in, and also just being vulnerable in each other's presence and stuff. That's been really good. What's been your learnings?
I think the boundaries piece comes in at points for stuff. I think if I was to do it again, I guess I don't really rely on anyone. That's a big thing. And when you're doing something that's with somebody, there is a reliance on them for certain things. And therefore it's then Like, and I am a believer that you only do by doing it. But there is a that puts on someone else, right? So it's an understanding of I think anyway you've got to be very quite similar on values and things. I think the main learning is really like just get out there and do different things, give things a go, like, and some things will work really well and others won't, and some things have a longer time thing on, some don't. So I think it's just more the exploration on just seeing how something feels in reality, doing it, how consistent you can be, like what it's working towards as well. But I think the key is like we can have lots of ideas and we just run with it and give it a go. And I think that's important and stands for something, is that, if you just want to try something, just do it.
Yeah.
Just see. And sometimes you've been right. Like we have structured the conversations, and others we've had more fluidity because, like you just have to give that as well. You don't have to have. Sometimes it's been nice just to come out, like you just say, just talk as well. When you work on your own. My very, very close friend, just left the corporate world. Because I've been badgering him for years, but he's done it, and he's second week into the business. And he said to me this morning I'm already quite, it's hard just being at home with a laptop and a computer screen. And I was like, goes, that's a week in. And I was like, So I think until you do it, the reality of something and the idea of it are two different things. But you just got to do it and see what it brings you.
What do you mean about boundaries? You said boundaries and values. Do you want to elaborate on
I think
that?
our values are similar in like what we care for. We're passionate about business, purpose-driven, that we're aligned on certain things around like our productivity, what we give, being open, honest, transparent, building that relationship as well, supportive. Those things are important, and values. And the boundaries you just learn, like, again, if you were to do it again, what would help you? So I'm always doing it. Every client I work with, like, what have I learned around the boundaries? Because some things I'll lack on and some things I'll get more on. I think I'd be clearer in some of the directional stuff of, like, what it looks like after doing the episodes and things. So just so we each have that understanding of a bit more planned, I think I'd learned with this one. When you're doing something... if you've got time limits on stuff, I think that's when that could come into play more, of just making sure like you're both aligned on that. Also thinking around with different things you do. And this could be relevant if you like, when I look at expanders do events and stuff, like you need to think about, well, what's next from that? Or once you've done that, what does that look like? Or when you're in your moment, who picks it up type of thing? Because you have to spin the plate still. And actually the emphasis is still on you, right? So I think there's a big thing with consistency and not doing something is as powerful as doing something at times. So the boundary of then just making sure, like, what is the, like, committing to what it looks like after and talking about those things sometimes. I think those, because they could trip you up, especially if you go into something and with businesses, and I see it all the time, but like a financial thing, and some people will be make and break on that. I'm always big that I'd never do any collaboration, partnership or anything with anybody who wouldn't do it on their own anyway. So I knew, like, coming to this, is like I would confidently see you doing it on your own anyway, and likewise with me.
Yeah, I mean, we both had podcasts,
and it's not
before,
and it's not there to, you can't pick somebody up or have them. The confidence boost might be one. Well, I'm just not confident to be visible. So if you do it, then I can be. That you can't carry people in that way. And I always thought when we came into it, was like, I won't need to carry Victoria, and she wouldn't need to carry me. But then, do you know, sometimes, like anything, it's just a learning, isn't it? And you just move on. And some things are timings of stuff too.
Yeah, I mean, it's quite interesting because when you mentioned this initially, I did say to you, I said, what do we want to get out of it? What do we want to get out of it? And I don't think it's that we didn't plan. It is a lot of work. It is a lot of work to do, like, especially when you're doing it on your own. It is a lot of work. Yes, we had the clips, reels done and stuff, but it is still a lot of work. Like, if you think about it, the amount of time, the thinking time just to sort of like come in. I travel an hour and a half, 2 hours, likewise and stuff, to come in here and do it. It's not like we don't just turn, it's not at our front door where we just go, oh, let's just roll and do a Zoom and stuff and go. This is proper production stuff and as well. And I think even though we did touch on what next, other stuff takes place. And if you look at where we are with business, when you first came to this, you weren't leaning into messaging. You were sort of like going, not sure. And I was going, is it? And you're like, not sure. And it's you were still in that space and stuff. Now you're in a completely different space where whatever that next step is just looks different, very different. And likewise, so we didn't touch on that. So I think we should give ourselves credit that we did do some planning, maybe not as much, but it would be a different planning if we had the resources to move it forwards for us. Because a lot of the really, some of the most successful podcasts out there have got other people managing this bit. Like we come in, speak and go, and the what's next gets managed by somebody else. They just have the strategy of where it goes and direct it. But growing a business, which we're both doing, and trying to get other things in place and stuff, it's like it is a lot. It's not that it can't be done, but it's not as straightforward or as seamless as we'd like it to be. But I think we did good. I mean, we're not wrapping it up because it didn't work. You know what I mean and stuff. That's not why we're wrapping it up. So I think we did good. And we've had really good compliments as well. So for those of you out there who've said you've liked it and stuff, thank you so much. And stuff. Go back and rewatch.
And are you doing your podcast again now?
I'm going to be doing a format of my podcast.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm going to be doing a format. I'm currently right now gathering topics, but yes, I'm going to be doing a format of my podcast, which I'm really, really enjoying. Sort of like looking at and creating and what have you. It's going to be more YouTube based, but yeah, I'm enjoying it and stuff. I've faffed around with titles and everything else. I'm just going to dump my titles, but yes, I am coming back into YouTube and just growing that space because I've had the channel for quite a while and just not used it to its great ability and stuff. So yeah, so I really want to just the strategy I have for that, I'm really excited about. And I'm turning my living room into a studio, which is fun.
Amazing.
Yeah. It's not posh. Please don't expect anything worthwhile. It's just that I can come there and switch on the phone and just do what I need to do rather than sitting down and doing it from my desk and everything else and stuff.
And is that video as well in there?
Is that for what?
Video as well. Audio.
Always video. Always video. I come across well on video. People connect to my voice. It works. I'm not going to change it. I've been doing podcasts since 2020.
Yeah, same.
So I've tested what works, what doesn't work. Yeah, I'm looking forward to it. I'm looking. Like literally, that's where I'm going to be. So go and check Victoria Dioh if you've not seen the link already. But yeah, I'm just going to be on there, just doing my thing.
It's funny. Somebody said this morning to me, "Do you want to write a book?" And I said no. I think like it's in me, and my mum's always said it is definitely, and there's a creative writing side for sure, and that's very much in my like my grandparents and everything. But I've never I like reading books. It doesn't light me up to want to write one in the same way, and I think I would want to do it from a different point. It would be probably business related, but it wouldn't be. I don't want to use it as a whole thing of lead magnet and things like that. The same as I've never wanted to monetize my podcast. The amount of times I've been asked to do that and I've said no, I don't want to, because I do need something that's just an output for fun as well. And I've always had that at the podcast. So to make everything, like I even see the gym as a structured routine. So I don't need everything like that to be my life. But it's like you say, it's a great platform to get a voice, to get a connection with somebody. And across, and I think you bring credibility to things as well, to connect with people in a different way.
I mean, from the book perspective, God, if I had $1 for every time somebody's asked me if I want to write a book, and I'm just like, no, and not because I don't want to write a book. I wrote my first book at 13, by the way, but because I always believe that you shouldn't just have a book for the sake of having a book.
Right.
That's my whole belief. You know, I think you need to really know what you want to do. I like the idea of a lead magnet. There's very few people who I know use it. I think there's only one person I know who uses their phone as their book as a really good lead magnet. I don't see Matt Elwell.
Yeah, Matt's is
Yeah.
very much a tool like that.
Yeah, it's very much it does exactly what it says on the
Him
tin.
and Daniel Priestley.
There is there is
The
that.
man
Sorry, Daniel.
is a lead magnet,
Yep.
guru of books.
Yep.
I've never had so many Daniel Priestley free books.
Yeah, but do you know what?
They're good, though.
They make it work.
They do,
They make
yeah.
it work. But I know hundreds of people that have books, hundreds, and none of them use it as a lead magnet. And I would aspire that if I had a book and it was a business book, that it would be similar to, to Matt's or Daniel's and stuff, where it's literally that thing that you can give away for free and then they come into your world.
Yeah.
Otherwise, I don't see the point of having it as a lead magnet, or you just do it for somebody's pleasure, which is also great as well. But yeah, the book thing, I'm very much sort of like, do you know what? I know enough people who can publish the book, which is great. When the time is right, you come for it. But I've got enough on my plate. I can't see myself in a book for the next 2 years, for sure. And I'm not going to force it either. And so I think it's so funny. There's something about forced production that at the moment is really icking me. And there's a couple of things that I've seen that I can tell have been forced production. And I'm sure I've been guilty of it as well. But I was watching Bridgerton for the umpteenth time. You don't watch Bridgerton, do you? No. So Bridgerton, the last season, which is Penny and Colin. And I love those two. But I've watched it twice. And the first time I watched it because, oh my God, Bridgerton's back out. It was amazing. Watched it the second time, like, it's been rushed. They've left so much out. It's not as detailed as the first one. And it's the same with books. It's like you need to take your time it's creativity, right? You have to really take your time and let the creative process work. And that, I believe, is why the next one isn't coming out till 2026. Not that you bothered, because you don't watch it. But yeah.
It's not my thing, no.
No, I do love it. Don't you enjoy any period drama?
What's the one Darcy in it? No, not really. Some of it.
What's the one with
I don't
Darcy
know.
in it?
I often sometimes could be a bit of a rebel on like a trend or something like that. I don't know. But then I sit here and I'll say I watch every dating reality show.
Have you been watching the UK one?
I need to just say this because I do not watch it. I do not watch Love Island. And I judge everybody. No, I don't judge anybody, but I can't watch Love Island. I think there's a lot in that I don't like for mental health. I do watch the Love is Blind, the Married at First Sight. So
have you watched the UK Love is Blind?
Yeah.
I've not watched it yet.
I've been waiting since January.
Really?
So I do watch what I would call my crap there. But it's so funny, like even my cousin and I messaged, and like I think whether it was this episode, another one we were talking about like a big split. I think it was like Molly May who split with her partner.
Oh,
like
yeah.
The big news. My cousin's messaging me in a week like, have you heard? I'm like, heard what?
I like
She was
that.
like, Molly May. And I was like, there's no hope for anyone. I was like, oh my God's sake. So, and again, like we talk like, Love is Blind, did you watch it? And it's like, and I said, oh my God. I said, do you stop it as well and chat with Matt? And I talked with Tom. She was like, yeah, we do that. So it's fun. But, and like genuinely, Tom and I would talk about relationships in it. Like, how would you react to that? Would you do that? So it's great from that perspective. I guess, no, I don't really... I like American stuff. I just watched the Jake Gyllenhaal one, Presumed Innocent, on Apple TV. So anything like that, I'm all over.
I've not watched that.
No, I don't know. It doesn't really interest me, that one.
That's okay. So I think anything period.
Yeah,
I'm on it. Like
there's been a few big parties though, haven't there? I follow a couple of people on Instagram who have had like these whole Bridgerton theme parties. I know JLo was one of the ones recently.
Yeah, she did, didn't she?
Yeah,
it looks so
I mean,
good.
I would like to go to that. It would be fun.
No, you're not allowed.
I know,
you're not allowed. You
Um,
don't like watching it.
That's a fancy. Somebody, I was talking very again like out there dream night this week in a community I'm in, and they were saying like books. I read books cover to cover. I don't know why, I just always have. Love reading.
I used to read.
So it's such escapism. But there was a point I said in this group, I was like, I just have a dream one day to have a room like Belle had in Beauty and the Beast, and somebody just like took that bit and was like, "Lol," again. 'Cause I was like, I do. I was like, just that dream part of just a chair, my coffee, a room full of books. I'll be a happy girl. So I think we all like our different things, don't we?
Yeah.
That's important.
Fun fact about books. I used to read a lot. So my dad's big thing was read. Like
Yeah.
was read, just read. And it's really funny because my younger brother had to force himself to read because my dad was on his case the whole time. And I loved reading. And I was at a primary school back in Cameroon. We went back to Cameroon at the age of 6. So between the age of 6 and maybe 8, I was reading in. We had this library at school, and one day I rushed in to go get my next collection of books, and the headmaster was stood there, and he called me over. He goes, "Sit down," and he gave me a bag. And it was a bag of books. He went, "Victoria, you've read all the books in the library.
Yeah.
We have no books to give you. Like literally, you've checked out every single one." He goes, "So we're giving you these to take home and to read them whenever you want." And so he goes, "But we literally have no more books for you." And so I know that's how much I used to enjoy reading. I still do enjoy reading, but it's I went through an exercise recently where I was able to just get rid of a lot of mental garbage, and I started being able to read again. But in the place of that, I would listen to books, which is the same as reading, but I do enjoy going as you're reading and stuff and going, "Oh, that's a good idea," and everything else. So being back in reading is really good and stuff. But, you know, the knowledge you can take from them is exceptional. And I'm one of these people where if I go to somebody's house and I see books, I'll always sort of like take my phone and sort of like scan through them and stuff and go, "Oh, I wonder what they're reading. Like, what are they reading now?" and stuff. So
You're bang on there. There's some very different conversations that have opened up just by the fact I've read lots of books.
Yeah.
Like you just said, like you like reading, like people know. Again, like it's like I say, like what do we known for? Like people will know that I like to read, and it sparks conversations. And have you read this? And then a different perspective, or it tells you lots about different people, what they like and things. It's definitely been like opens doors in that way as well. And then to discuss things, like healthy debate on things as well. Like, do you agree with it? Do you not agree with it? And things like that. And again, like you've alluded to, that there's certain points in your life where you're going through certain things, and just by allowing things to be however you want to get, I do believe in law of attraction. Like it just comes to you when you need it, type of thing, and it's there. I keep seeing this 11/11 stuff everywhere I go. Right, the last few months, it's been a bit like I look at the clock and I'm like, oh, there it is again. Some things you just have to let them be, and just allow, like, open that space for it to come in. Like, and I always think I feel like, oh, that feels weird to say, but there's something in that you just have to do that part.
You can't force it
with no question, and just make that something for you. But books definitely have often come around at time. I'm like you said, like I just needed to hear that, or I read that, or I knew I did because it stuck with me. That one line. What I've got better at is being able to take somebody's content and think about it, and then be able to relay that in my own way. It's not about copying or whatever, but about saying, like, what's that mean to me? Then what's the message from that? And the idea.
Forward,
because otherwise you can become a bit of a carbon copy of, oh, in this book I read this, or so-and-so said this. You need to be able to seek to understand it, and then take that learning, able to implement that. Otherwise you're just taking someone else's the whole time. But you have to really make it your own thing, like stick that with you. Like I said earlier before around the purpose one with Will Smith, and it's like how he prioritises against Jada's priorities. And I was like, it's just sat with me of like that. I've been thinking around that recently again, time, being selfish, things like that. I was like, so what does that mean to me? Why is that coming up? And I enjoy that process as well. Some people think that's overthinking or overthinking.
I don't think
but I enjoy it. That it's just, I'm not quite sure, like, and why did I need to read that and things like that, and putting the puzzle pieces together. That's the part I love.
Yeah, I don't think it is a bit too much. I don't think enough people know how to do it.
Yeah.
One of the things that I love doing, so I use the Bible a lot for some of my messaging and stuff, and I sort of like, I always go through the Bible and I look at things and I go, that's interesting. And when you look at the details of how to read the Bible, it says exactly that, which is go back, read the book, and go back and see what it means to you.
Yeah.
As opposed to just copying it, because especially this time and day, and I will never ever compromise my belief of God for my clients, but my client isn't somebody that wants to be preached to. So they want to hear the substance of life, as opposed to being preached to directly what the Bible necessarily saying. And I'm okay with that. And so sometimes I will allude things from the Bible that have tapped in, and also just learning, like you say, from books and trying to turn it into yourself. But it's the only way you can study, and that's why a lot of the time you get people who read books but they don't take anything away from it. So a lot of people go, oh yeah, I've read this and I've read that and I've read that, and you go, what do you take away from it? And there's silence, because you read it as a sport, but you read it and then it's gone. It's almost like going out on a date with somebody and have nothing to say about the date and stuff, because I believe that when I spend time with books, it's a relationship.
It is.
You know, it's a relationship. It's like you hold on to this book. Like there's one book I'm reading at the moment, and it's taken me ages to get into this book. And it's a great book. It's all about intuition and everything else. But I hold on to it and I'm like, I need to read this book. I need to read this book. So by the time I finish reading this book and stuff, it'll be like, when I say goodbye to it, it would be like being on a course or something, or, you know what I mean? Like you've got to know this person. So you need to have taken something away. But I also believe that everybody reads differently. I've got another friend, one friend of mine, she is so amazing. Like she literally reads the book and it goes straight through her and stuff. And it's just incredible. That's not me. I have to do the approach of read. What does it mean to me? And go through. And there are other books where, like, there's other books where I'll read and it's literally just playing in my head the whole time.
Yeah.
Like, a bit like the only books that used to do that to me were books like Daniel Steele. I used to read Daniel Steele years ago and stuff, and it's like I'll be maybe doing this with you, but I'll be thinking, oh my God, what happens when they get off the boat? You know. Because it's so enticing and stuff. I'm like, I can't wait to get back to the book and stuff.
We were watching Love is Blind the other week, and there's a guy on there who's met this woman and they're very synced, etc. And they like the same things. And she was like, I've met a guy that reads books and highlights words as well. And Tom just was like, God, because I was like, that's me. But I do. You're never going to find a book that I've had that isn't highlighted or lined and stuff. I then, it sounds so geeky, but I then go through them with the notes I've made, and I keep the notes of what I feel is relevant again. And I'll use that in some way or think about it, so I don't like things. But look, and that's what I was sharing the other week. I've been with people before where I've had mentors who've been so disciplined. They're like, you read a book like this, you read this bit, and that bit. Like, there's certain ways to read books as well, and how to construct them, right? Messy. There is. And reading the beginning, summary of most chapters, and then the end, and you probably cover off the book. So it's really interesting to see that perspective. But I enjoy the process of it again, and I think it's how you learn as well. I can get up in the morning, and I call it my magic time, 5 to 7. I can laser a book. I don't really look at the words a lot. It's really weird. But I've learned. Again, that's why I say I'm an early bird for those things, always have been. And I was doing it really well at the beginning of this month, and I've petered off again, but I was doing this 5 a.m. club stuff again, up at literally in reading, and it just stays in like that. Like you said, I can understand it. At night, I'm like, I'll be thinking about everything else and trying to read, and I can't do it. So again, look at where you're best with stuff and what you want from it, but it's, it's definitely opened doors for me, and got me thinking on some big challenges. One of the biggest ones I've worked on this year is leaning into just standing for your own things, movement. I think that's the thing, like you're saying, being credit to ourselves, we put quite a lot of pressure on ourselves, I think.
100%.
And with what we expect of ourselves, our businesses, others as well. And actually we've probably got quite high standards of expectations in the right way. But you don't then give yourself credit for everything that you're doing around that. And that's important, to do that part and just not be so tough on everything. Yeah.
It's funny you talk about the whole time thing. See, I have a dilemma at the moment, because my magic time is between 3.
If you just coin the phrase, because I've used the phrase.
Yeah.
Right, okay, cool. What does it mean?
That magic time between 3 and I would say 7.
Oh, no, you're earlier than that. You're 1. If you want to test me out on this, go and follow her on Messenger, because it's always, I'm like, active now. It must be like my business WhatsApp, because it's on my laptop. It's just always on, probably.
No, but the fact I do sometimes stay up to 1, but
I would agree with you,
but the magic time, like when you can actually go in there and absorb information.
Yeah.
Oh, if I'm on my desk at 3 o'clock, magic happens.
But you also do a late night shift as well at times, because I know you do that. But I don't think you're quite in your zone the same as when you'd be 3 till 5.
Three.
Right?
3 till 7. So, and I never know it's 7 o'clock till I walk out of the office.
Yeah.
And I go, huh. And it's, I know, but that 3. And what I've realized, and I discovered this during lockdown, was that energetically, and I should be able to manage that, but energetically, there's so much energy going on during the day that your focus is very different to when everybody else is asleep.
Oh, 100%.
However, spiritually, there is a whole different dynamic of what goes on between 3 o'clock and 5 o'clock.
What, in your world or generally? As a status quo?
In Victoria's world. No, spiritually.
Really?
Yeah. And
is this getting woo?
That's what I'm going to say about it. But the fact of the matter is, it's really funny because when I saw my teacher recently, I went to a retreat recently, and my teacher, and I was going, Les, and I was asking him a question, and he just looked at me, and Les is very clairvoyant. He's amazing. And he just looked at me he goes, your body is tired. All right. He went, you need sleep. All right. And he was like, you need to go to bed early. So I've had to start going to bed at 9:30.
Right.
So like at 9 o'clock, I'm in bed. 9:30, I go to bed. Last night, I stayed up a bit later, but I'm having, and actually I found that the earlier I sleep, the more I can read. So that's been a trade-off. And the more productive I've become.
Really?
Yeah. But I still miss my miss my magic time. I still miss my 3 a.m. time, because when I sit there, it's incredible. But to be fair, with the sleep as well, and I've had to it's been a thing. And if I stay up late, I have to sort of like give myself a reason why I'm staying up late. So like last night, I had to make up for the whole day because I was in hospital. So I was like, there's these things that I need to work on. But actually, I was really tired, and I was like, you should have just gone to bed at 9, as you have been doing, and then carry through. Because what tends to happen is I get up at 2:40, go to bed at 9:30, get up at 2:40, not on purpose, in time to do prayers that I've started doing. I've started doing a prayer time, do my prayers and fall asleep again and wake up. And that's been okay. So it's quite interesting. I'm navigating the whole sleep thing, but the more I sleep, the more I can read. It's almost like if you don't sleep, you don't read. It's almost like a punishment and stuff, which is just annoying.
It's interesting. Like, it's one of the things, sleep is one of the things that every successful business owner I would look up to.
Yes.
Like, it's a big thing. Like, that's a non-negotiable for people. And I think lots of people miss that off, and I've certainly shifted that the last 18 months. I was always rubbish at it. I used to probably get 6 hours in retail, and I worked there all the time. And that could, but then I did catch up on stuff. Like, for a day off, I catch up. I wouldn't be. It's not the same structure now. It's different. But I do believe like we just that time to rest and just recover on things and renew whatever. Like, it's so important. You can't cheat it. Like, you can't cheat a bad diet.
No, that's what my mum says. My mum says you can't cheat real life.
You can't.
It's like it'll catch up with you at some point. Yeah.
You know, you're not invincible, and I think that's a lot of people are like, I'm there, it's not bad, and I don't need to sleep. So come on.
Yeah. Michelle Obama goes to bed at 8. Gets up at 4.
Again, there's another thing between people that go to bed at the same time, and what I'm seeing again more and more as well with my working people as a group I'm in, that it's not about work-life balance as such. Actually, it's the focus on routine. That's that discipline and what it brings them in terms of how they feel and the benefits of that. And actually, like you say, the saying no, but the commitment, the priorities of the things that are serving for them, like they literally, time is their most valuable asset, which we know, and it's currency, pure currency to them, and they literally stick by it to the dot. And I can be rubbish on it at times. I've started really calling myself out on it recently. Of like, time's done, because it's so important, and you respect things more in that way. I certainly have started to think about actually how I see things differently in that way with what I'm doing. Yeah,
I find that every time that I've wanted to stay up late, I'm coming from a place of lack, which is I'm staying up late
Yeah,
because,
that's interesting.
you know, it's like I need to stay up late because if I don't stay up late, I can't get that done. As opposed to, actually, and this is what I said to myself yesterday, I was like, or you could just go to bed when you're meant to go to bed and wake up with more energy.
Right. And that's me generally.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And get it done and stuff. And we've had times where we're going, are you still awake? Yeah, I'm still awake.
Like last night, like I said to where I am, but like I was in that zone.
Yeah.
And that's different.
And it's
You know, when
okay
I
to
sat
be-
there and I was like,
Yeah.
no, I'm in a really, I'm loving this in a minute. I'm in this space.
Yeah.
But there's other times, and I did get to a point and I sat there and I was like, I'm just now, that's not today.
You're faffing about.
Yeah, that's a difference.
Yeah, it's a different. Listen, we just need to connect to ourselves more, right? We just need to connect to ourselves. It's been a pleasure.
It has. Exciting times ahead.
Exciting times ahead. Go check us out and stuff. You'll still get our details at the bottom of this recording. So go and follow us in our respective places. And if you've got anything, you know, any questions and stuff, feel free to just bung them in the comments. We'll get back to you. I'll see you soon.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Thank you for listening. If you know someone who needs to hear this, please share it with them, and we would love you to subscribe. Remember, the insights shared only have value when you take action.